Arsenal and Man United is the ultimate bragging rights. Growing up, all it was Arsenal fans around me. Oh na 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 na. Oh na 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 na.
Ramsdale's just been put into the PFA Player of the Year.
That's because Onana went in the league last year.
Exactly.
You see these United guys, yeah, don't ever gas you up, you know. They come to the big M. They're going to get christened nicely. 4-1. Send them back up the M1 with their backside slapped.
I'm definitely having Bruno.
In front of Odegaard.
In front of Odegaard.
No Declan Rice in your team. Are you mad? I was trying to be nice to you, man. You guessed.
We don't need you to be nice. We need you to be honest. We don't want your sympathy. We'll tell you what we think.
United fans, don't be afraid. Wear your black shirts. We're going for their funeral, not ours.
Welcome back to AFTV, everyone. It's the big game. It's Arsenal versus Manchester United in game week 4 of the Premier League, and we have a stacked panel for the starting 11 and the watch-along to react to it all. It is the Premier League back in North London. Big round of applause for a massive. Why are you not clapping, you? What? Well, just have some energy about you. What's wrong with you?
I'll have some energy when I see the team. Thank you very much.
He was yawning already. You are everything that Arteta's complaining about.
Yeah,
show love to the players. Show love to the team.
Listen, I'll go one way to work, straight in, bosh. End of.
Alright, you can guess what we're talking about today. Mikel Arteta's had plenty to say, as there's been criticism. Despite 7 points out of 9 claimed in the league, Arsenal don't quite look the same. We will discuss that, Kai Havertz, and what the 11 might look like. But of course, we welcome our panel. To my left, we have Laurie Dahl over there. Big round of applause. Lovely shirt. We have Troy as well, back in the building. We have the Don himself, Don Robbie, and Mr. Miserable Lee Judges.
Oh, he clapped for himself.
Yeah, he does clap for himself. Well done. And we do have a very, very special guest for the watch-along later. It is none other than M. Huncho joining us for the watch-along. Tune in half an hour before kick-off, get his thoughts ahead of the game and his reaction live as every ball is kicked throughout the 90 plus 10, 15 minutes at the end as well. Okay, let's talk about it, because Arsenal, it's been 8 days since, I think, a really disappointing result against Fulham, but there's a really interesting column from Jamie Carragher. I don't know if any of you guys saw it, and I think the main message was, Arsenal fan, calm down. And if you don't calm down, you can kiss hopes of winning the Premier League goodbye early. Sure, I really want your take on this.
This was levelled at us last year. When we were winning games in the last 5 minutes or whatever, everyone was like, listen, you guys are full tilt too early. This is a long, long season. You can't be full tilt and heaping that kind of pressure on to every result and every game, because, look, I understand that we're football fans and we react to every result, but in the scheme of a 38-game season, dropping points, Fulham at home, could be catastrophic, but if you're looking at the percentages, it likely isn't. You know, I actually think it's an amalgamation of things. I think it's, the window is a window of two halves, right? We start really strong in the window, we lose one of the flagship signings, and we don't react in the second half of the window. Yeah. That leaves a sour taste in the mouth. Then you see the formation, and we don't look as fluid going forward. Then you see us dropping points, and then you get the news last night, which is maybe speculation, maybe not, but then you get the news about Partey, right? So I think it's cumulative, and that might be impacting the mood. But in general, mate, I agree. I think we do need to calm down, because if we're 10-10 today and they're 10-10 today, we win this game.
I made a list on Twitter. Jesus injury, Timber injury, underwhelming performances, the drop points against Fulham, no late signing on deadline day despite the injury, Partey potentially injured too. We've got a lot of anger towards refereeing and VAR in their performances, and let's call it what it is, Spurs are looking quite good as well. Lee, do you think all of that, as Sharoy said, it's cumulative, and that is why we have this tension going into today when it's only match week 4 and we've got 7 out of 9 points?
Yeah, because the tension's because of what's gone on in the previous games. You know, if we'd have won them convincingly, you'd be looking forward to this Man United game. You know, listen, it goes 2 ways today. You win today, and it doesn't look too bad. But if you lose today, you're mid-table, and that's the difference. Even at this early stage, 5 points, I think, it'd be off of Man City, which is, you know, not good enough. You know, and that's the problem that you've got at the moment. The thing is, and I get this. We was talking about this the other day, about Dennis Bergkamp. You give him time. With the way Man City are, you can't bed in players these days. You have to be straight at. Last season we was right at it. There's no two ways about it. And look, Fulham yesterday, poor decision. Yeah, we know that about the offside. 5-1. That's how you take teams apart. Fulham, done and dusted. We should be on 9 points now. We're not on 9 points because I believe that the manager has tinkered with the system and whatever, and we was having a fantastic season last season with the players that we had. Yes, it needed a little bit of tinkering. Yes, you know, you look back at the game against Fulham last season, we struggled to get over the line against them last season, like, you know, we didn't this season. But listen, I think at the end of the day, the team today, when that comes out, do you know what, I'm going to say it now, like, if Thomas Partey's injured, I'm not going to be as fussed as I have been in the past, because I'm not, you know, if right back, I'm not bothered whether he plays or not.
Let's get to the Partey stuff in a bit, because that has been rumour. We know it's well, not even just rumour. I think, was it confirmed from reports in Ghana that he's not joining the squad and that he's got a slight injury. So we'll react to that in a sec. But what I really want your take on, Robbie, is Arteta's fighting talk. You know, he's done the press conference, he did an interview, and he did all this. You know, Leo's alluding to all this. If I can't go this way to work, I go that way to work, and all that. The analogy is to say, and the message is to say, you know, listen, there are different ways to do things. We have to adapt, and we're learning. And if you give the team love and you support Havertz and all these players, they'll get through it. Do you think it's impressively bold? Or do you think actually needs to take a step back and almost, like, did you take it as a little bit of an insult to fans? I'm not saying I did, I'm just wondering what you think.
No, I didn't take it as an insult to fans. I took it as he's sort of biting back a bit. You know, he's been getting a lot of stick. You know, I think, and I've been saying it, and even when I've said it, I've got stick. People are, oh, you work for the club, or you this and that. I mean, bloody hell, I just feel that some people are panicking. We've got 7 points, right? If we win today, we've got 10 points, right? I mean, that's a decent start, right? So I know there has been changes, and some of those changes have baffled me. I've been baffled why Gabriel hasn't been playing, right? But I guess if you are going to try things, the time to try it is early in the season, and it is against some of the teams we've tried it against. I don't want to see us trying those things today. And I think the main things for me has been, if I'm looking at it, it's been the Gabriel being left out. That does not make no sense to me. Maybe the first game, I could understand it. The second game, and in particular the Fulham game, I don't think he should have been left out, right? And then I feel that the other thing that baffled me a bit was not trying to get somebody on deadline day, just to cover off, you know, the injuries that we've got at the back. We've let Tierney go, you know, we've let Rob Holding go. I felt we should have brought in a versatile defender who could have covered a couple of positions. That was kind of strange to me as well, because we do have a lot of games coming up. You see the fixtures now as they're starting to come through. So I've been baffled by those two. But apart from that, with the games, I'm not. If we'd have won every game convincingly, I wouldn't be getting carried away. And we've started it unconvincingly. I'm not getting carried away. Right now, it's just about getting results.
Yeah.
We need to get a result today. It would be great to get a good result to get everybody back on track again. But I do think some people have been getting way too carried away with you know, you'd have thought we lost the first 3 games. You know what I mean? People were telling me about Newcastle a couple of weeks ago. They've only got 3 points. They've lost all their games since. People said Liverpool got off to a poor start, but then what have they done since? Real morale boosting win yesterday, and I think they were winning 2-0 today. So it's still early in the season. But we do need to see, I think we could do with seeing a performance today.
Yeah.
And on the Havertz thing, we've got to give the guy a bit of time. I mean, listen, when we signed him, I was like everybody else, so I'm thinking, why? But I'm waiting, you know, I'm not going to pass judgment on him yet after a couple of games.
No, I think that's fair.
You know?
Laurie, is Arteta's fighting talk and, you know, Jamie Carragher, you know, saying, listen, relax, Arsenal fans. I think I agree with them to a degree, but is there a danger of, how do I put it, like, fans do know what they're talking about. You know, just because you say there were 36 different formations in a game doesn't mean that, you know, what we're seeing with our eyes, you know, is, you know, and let's use last season example. We beat Villa 2-1, we beat Fulham 2-1 early in the season. You alluded to that game, Lee. And we scraped over those, but we played really well in them. So fans weren't sitting here saying the kind of stuff they said after Palace 1-0 the other day after Forest. So we do know what we're talking about. Maybe not, in fact, nowhere near to the level they do. But we know our team, and Arsenal haven't clicked yet. And we should be patient, but I don't know. I feel like this is very bold. It could go very well for Mikel, but it could backfire on him a little bit.
It could do. For me, the key difference between last season and this season This season, the weight of expectation is a lot more. The level of scrutiny is higher. People have gone into this start of this season with real optimism. They think we're genuine title contenders. And let's be honest, if you look at the first 3 games, some people would say that that is a good start for Arsenal to get some points on the board. So if we look at it logically, the game against Forest, we're expecting to win. The performance wasn't scintillating. I was at the Palace game. I actually thought that the performance against Palace was a good performance.
Yeah, I was happy
to beat
with that.
them on their own ground, down to 10 men. I thought that was okay. Good even. The performance against Fulham, though, that is the one that's got a lot of people talking. 2-2 against Fulham is not a great performance, not a great result. For many people, it felt like a loss. So what people are doing, they're hanging their hat on the fact that the manager's made these changes, which to a lot of people don't seem like the right thing to do. So, for example, myself and Robbie, last week were at the Carnival, and it's really interesting. Sometimes you can be in a little bubble, your AFTV bubble, where we're all conversing with each other. But we're at the Carnival, me and Robbie, he was getting mobbed, it was crazy. But the one thing that was getting repeated over and over when he was getting stopped in the street was, Robbie, why is the manager making all these changes? What is he doing, man? You know what I mean? Play the best team, play the right players in the right places, and we'll win games. So fans, you know, they do have a right to express their view. And yes, some of them probably are panicking a little, but I think it's a case of taking everything into consideration. But the key thing for me is the weight of expectation is different this year.
You touched on Havertz, Robbie. We're going to have the Havertz chat in a sec. We've got a clip from Box to Box where Turkish interviewed Cams. If you haven't seen it, go have a little look at the full video after this stream before we go live for the watch along. But I thought this was interesting. Give it a listen, guys.
My thing is, look, I was saying to you off camera, I'm probably going to say, this Havertz will score. And the thing is, I actually like Havertz at Chelsea. I thought there's times, okay, he was up and down, but I thought there's a player in there. But I'll be honest, like, sometimes you've got to take back what your shouts are. And I'm starting to look at Havertz, I'm like, is he creative? Is he... Like, I don't really know what his biggest strength is at the moment. But the thing is this step back that you're potentially going to take to embed Havertz into it, is that going to take you... Is he that level of player that's now going to take you 2 steps forward? You know what I'm trying to say? I don't know if he is. Like, if you guys were doing this over prime Mesut Ozil or something, I'll be like, maybe it's worth the gamble. But Havertz, I'm like, he's not a ceiling raiser. Like, he's not going to...
No.
You know what I mean?
No, I don't think any Arsenal fan towards the end of last season said, let's go get Kai Havertz from Chelsea.
Yeah.
And he's come in now, and I'm looking at him in the first few games, and listen, people, it's just a few games. I know people will be, you know, he's too reactionary, or give him a chance. Listen, I'm giving him a chance because Arteta signed him, and Arteta's got credit in the bank. But we've just drawn to Fulham, and it's only 3 games in, but I just don't want us to accommodate for Havertz, cost us points, look back in November and say, well, we're a bit far off City, so we've got to set top 4 as a target or get as close as possible to City.
Havertz, ceiling raiser for you, Lee? Can he be?
Well, yeah, you know, it's 3 or 4 games and people are making judgments over him at the moment, and I'm not seeing it one way and another, and you know, baffles me that Man United fans want to talk about it and things like that. Like, you know, yeah, exactly, or other teams at this moment in time. It's Arsenal's problem. Arsenal will deal with it. And you know what? At this moment, I'm still backing him. At the moment, I'm with that. He played well against Man City in the Community Shield. He done okay against Forest. He done okay at Crystal Palace.
I thought he was good at Palace.
Yeah, I thought he played well. He had a poor game against Fulham. He wasn't the only one that had a poor game against Fulham, but he's going to be the scapegoat at a minute, and that's what does when you come with a big heavy price. The problem that I've got with it, and Havertz at the moment, is when you're turning around and changing the team formation around to get him into the team, and then he doesn't do what he's okay isn't good enough. Like, you know, for instance, if we change the team around and he produces a performance like Vieira done for that 20-25 minutes, then you don't mind players being popped in different positions and all that. He's just being okay at the moment, like, you know. He needs a big performance.
Yeah, we don't have time, innit?
And I don't think it'll probably even happen today. I think he's, you know, Champions League games, that's when he'll start coming to his...
Sorry, Lee, right? You know what I'd like to say? You know that what Cam was saying there, is he, what did he say? Is he a, what's the name, raiser?
Ceiling raiser.
A ceiling raiser. right? Well, you could say the same thing for is Matthias Nunes, who City have just signed. Is he a ceiling raiser? We don't know, do we? I mean, we can see he's a decent player, but we don't know if he's a ceiling raiser. We don't know if he's going to be anywhere near as good as what Gundogan was and that. We have to wait and see. I know it's Pep, right? So Pep has so much more credit in the bank.
And they've won the treble.
This is why we have to have a bit more patience. It's only a few games. I mean, it's ridiculous to almost like say the guy's going to be rubbish. I was surprised that we signed him, but I'm willing to give him a chance. And you know, maybe what Arteta should have done was eased him in a bit more. Rather than sort of throwing him in, because there were a lot of people, the Chelsea thing and all that, so.
I think a lot of the frustration comes from all of the Havertz commentary is based upon the assumption that the formation changes because Havertz is here. And I don't necessarily think that's the case, because I think if Timber was fit and Zinchenko is fit, Arteta has a left-sided and right-sided fullback option that can invert. Timber goes down, Zinni's not fully fit. So what is the inverted option there? Kivior's not well versed at it, which is why he goes, I actually have to take someone out of midfield and put them to invert at the back. But a lot of people, it's chicken and egg, right? A lot of people are saying, no, he's trying to shoehorn Havertz in. But I actually think injuries to those inverted fullbacks have kind of forced his hand a bit. And now if Partey's out, my concern is actually that everything is on Zinni being fit. And it's not, the Havertz commentary, people aren't really cussing out his performances. They're saying he's been average, but we're reshuffling the entire team for him, and doing that cost-benefit analysis doesn't work. That's where I think the problem lies. But I don't actually think the formation changes because of him being here.
Yeah.
You could have played, you could though have played, say, Partey as that holding midfielder, and you could have Declan Rice in the Havertz position, or, with Granit.
But then who's your inverted fullback?
Year, and then you could have had. Well, yeah, obviously.
But that's what I mean. He wants to play with him, and that was a large part of our success last year.
You saw the last game that he definitely doesn't work with Kivior.
And it don't work with Partey in there. Like,
I'd say it works better with Partey than it does with Kivior.
Well, it doesn't win the results.
It was better with Partey when we were on the ball.
Yeah, but it doesn't
when
win
we're off the ball. Is he defensively strong enough?
We've had lots of more possession, but we ain't had results, Robbie. He'd done it at Forest last season, we lost. We've done it at Fulham, we've drawn. And the other two games we've won. And also the game against Crystal Palace, when was our best 20 minutes of that game? Was when we had the sending off and then we reverted back to Ben White in there at right back, and Partey went into the midfield and we dominated those last 20 minutes.
Zinni came on.
And Zinni came on as well, yeah.
That's my point, right? If he doesn't have the natural inverted fullback choice, Arteta's a bit hampered.
Yeah.
Yeah, Laurie.
I think with regards to Havertz, let's be honest, he started behind the 8 ball, because when the club announced that they were going to sign him, there was a lot of people, myself included, our eyebrows were raised. We thought, 65 million, it's not exactly impressed at Chelsea. So the jury was out, let's be honest, from the minute he came into the club. And then he's come into the club, he's not had a stellar game yet, I think that's fair to say. Meanwhile, the performances of the team have also not been stellar, and fans, let's be honest, they will start to scapegoat. They will look at his position and scrutinise and say, what is he bringing to this team? So far, he's not delivered what we might have thought he would. However, like Robbie says, it's too early to really cast judgment on him. I mean, I'm personally hoping he can have a really good game today, then that will shut a lot of people up.
Well, 100%, like,
So it's for him to, because I do think he will play today.
I also think, and I'm going to be really honest, the pressure of the Maddison thing, the business that he's doing at Tottenham is putting pressure on Havertz, because people are turning around and saying, you know what I mean, like, well, we could have got him for 40 million. And look what he's done at Spurs. Now he's done for Spurs in 3 games, which Havertz hasn't. So there's pressure. There's pressure on him. And
who's the pressure more on, Havertz or Arteta?
Both.
I think it's more on Arteta, if you ask me. Well, I think this was just summer where he had 200+ million to spend. He spent it. He brought in 4 players. Chose they didn't want another defender after Timber injury. That's fine. Okay, cool. I think the pressure is, Havertz is Havertz. I've got no doubt he's doing his best. He's trying to do all he can. But Arteta had the choices and look at the amount of midfielders that moved this summer. Tonali, Maddison is one you mentioned, Szoboszlai, McAllister. There are so many. Now, okay, we might not have picked all of them up, but there were other options. So this has to work for Arteta for me.
Yeah,
and there's a little part, I think Jordan said it really well on Forever Arsenal. He said, while he doesn't think Jordan, forgive me if I'm saying this wrong, while Havertz probably doesn't deserve to start, he was saying, if you remember, Lee, he'd almost back Arteta more. Wolves have equalised against Palace. He'd almost back it more if he stuck with Havertz today, because that's Arteta going, this really is my guy. I'm backing him. And with the Partey injury, he might have no choice.
But he could still be his guy if he's not starting, and he can bring him on later on.
No, but doesn't that send a real message? In the way that you've said to everyone, guys, support him, show him love, he'll come good, and you stick him in the 11. Isn't that Arteta really saying to everyone?
I'm fully expecting him to start today.
I've got no doubt. So even if Partey's fit, Havertz starts today. I've said it all along.
I think he'll start today.
Do you think we should be worried about Partey's? I mean, okay, we've got Rice.
We've got Declan Rice, we've got Jorginho, right?
Yeah.
This is why we brought these players in, right? Who can listen? Partey's a top quality player, but we've got to cover, haven't we?
But that is on the assumption that Partey plays in midfield. My point here is, Timber is out as an inverted fullback. Zinchenko is very injury prone. We don't have a natural right-sided inverted fullback. Partey occupies that position. Everything is on Zinny staying fit now. If Zinny's not fit, Tierney's gone, Timber's out, you don't have a right side, what are you looking at then? You're not just looking at personnel change, you're looking at wholesale system change. You don't have an inverted fullback, and that was a large part of our success last year. I think we've got enough for today. I think we've got enough for today. The season, depending on how long Partey's out for, I don't know.
Listen, I'm not worried. Like the Partey thing, it's like it's like an episode on UK Gold, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean? It keeps happening all the time. It is. He's there all the time, and you know it's coming, don't you? How many times do you have it a season? And at the end of the day, I'm not being horrible. If you've got a Rolls Royce outside in your garage, and every time you go there in the morning and you don't know if it's going to start or not, it starts one day and starts next, and you've got a reliable little, I don't know, escort there that goes every time, you're going to jump in that escort eventually. It's not practical to keep having these injury players. Zinchenko, I'm a massive fan of his. He has got to stay fit.
Yeah.
He has got to stay fit.
Tommy Asu as well. No, but I'll be honest, and you guys all answer it from the Arsenal side, and I get that. From the Arsenal side, I'm far less worried about a Partey injury. But he has missed so many big games. And we talked about Tactical Insight last year, and that graphic that Graham and I built has done the rounds a little bit again over the last 24 hours. Of course, we're going to find out now whether he actually is injured or not. We know that there's been some reports from Ghana, but I just think, again, he's injured. I'm getting to the point where if you start asking me to build my best Arsenal 11, he's not in it because I'm not sure I can even rely on him to be available. Now, I know he played most of last season, but he still missed key games. So, you need these players that you can rely on.
Is it me, but is there something awry with possibly the training methods at Arsenal?
I don't know, but
all these players keep getting injured. You know what I mean? It's like
James is right.
His injury. It's how you cope with it. Kevin De Bruyne is injured at the moment for City.
Look at Chelsea as well, man. Carney and Kunku. There's loads of them.
It happens. Real Madrid. We're not the only team.
No, we're not the only team, but I'm saying there's a number of players who, before they come to Arsenal, I don't
if I'm not mistaken, Partey's are very rarely in game. Am I right? How often is it Partey starts and then he comes off?
I think he's
injured?
only been fit 60% of the time.
But they're more often not behind the scenes related.
And it's massive games that he's missing. James
injured and comes off.
He was already injured.
But my point is, I'm forced to ask the question. These guys didn't appear to have these injury records before they came to the club.
I heard it's a groin injury, which keep him out for a couple of weeks. Right, and the way, but it was being yesterday is like he's going to be out for months.
There were reports about 3 months.
Right, so that's what I'm hearing. It's a couple of weeks, and if it's a couple of weeks, then it could be one of those things where they're like,
it is what it is.
Yeah, but he's had that before, isn't he?
No, but it could also be, if you think about it, right, it could be one of those things where also thinking he could be near to playing today, but if they do play him, then he's got to go Ghana.
Yeah.
And play the
he's out in January as well.
Breaks.
Yeah. He's out in January, whatever happens.
But we have got cover. I do hear what you're saying with the inverted part, right? But for today's game, with Zinchenko being back, we do have cover. We've got Declan Rice, we've got Jorginho.
Well, let's see what the 11 is. In 3 minutes, that will be revealed. We do have another clip as well. Have a little look at this. It's a debate about who should play up top. I've got super chats, so we'll go through in a sec. Let's just get these thoughts and we'll go through comments and everything just as the 11 is going to come out.
Jesus is available. He's fit for this game. Match fit is another question. Eddie Nketiah, to me, has proved himself enough to keep the shirt in Mikel Arteta's eyes as well, I believe. But does he go with his, as we believe, Jesus, his strongest 9 to start up front? What would Mikel Arteta, do you think he's going to go with?
I think he goes Jesus.
Do you?
Yeah.
I think he might go Jesus, you know, but I would imagine Eddie will quite understandably be a bit disappointed.
As he probably was with Trossard starting the other day. So that leads me to believe that Jesus will be the one starting. Because why did Trossard start against Fulham? Because Eddie did well in the previous game against Palace, essentially being key to us winning the game. So why did Eddie start against Fulham? Maybe because we haven't been creating enough chances overall.
But he also proved himself pre-season and whatnot. Trossard, I know it's before that.
You see, when people say proves himself, yeah, no one proves themselves in the first 3 games of the season. Nobody. You prove yourself over 38 games. Some of our fan base at times just, you know, we want to give so much for so little. And I'm not saying what he's done is so little, but it's been 3 games. And I think, you know, he will feel hard done by not starting against United because he has played well in his last couple of games. But essentially, man have got to know their role.
All right, the 11 will be out any second. We've got some super chats just before the 11 comes out. Haynes says thoughts on ITK's leaking confidential information for hits. I don't really have a comment on that, if I'm honest. Perth says hopefully 2-0 United today, so he must be a United fan. Time melting down at the refs when Arsenal play Bayern. Lead judges be like that Harry Kane again. He's done it again.
Do you know what? It's been the first time I will cheer Harry Kane scoring goals because I'll tell you what. They're playing against Man United, like, and I've never Tottenham and Man United, you know, so 2 evils there, like, you know. So I'm happy to. I can't wait for England games now as well. Like.
Tomo says Arsenal will win 6-0 and Ty will still blame the ref. Yeah, maybe. Samuel says, what do you think about our summer spending? We, Villa, Liverpool have the least amount of signings with 4. Technically, we have 3 with Timber's injury compared to Chelsea 16. Well, I don't think we want Chelsea 16, but I will say that. Look, it's all been covered on deadline day, all the content's out there, so have a look if you want our thoughts on that. But yeah, it's been a little underwhelming at the end, but ultimately probably a good window. Dave John says Bayern and Madrid wanted Havertz. No one wanted Maddison. Well, Newcastle did, and also that doesn't always tell you the full picture. Oz says a huge problem with Arteta is not installing an alternative system, using fullbacks in traditional sense. We had the fullbacks to play traditionally. Go, hit us with the 11,
right,
Bobby.
Team is out.
Come on.
Right, and this is the lineup to play the game today. It's Aaron Ramsdale in goal. There were some people even mentioning that Raya could start, but no, it's not. It's Ramsdale, Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel is back.
There we go.
Zinchenko. So we're back to our normal formation.
There we go.
A midfield of Declan Rice, Kai Havertz, and Martin Odegaard. And up front is Saka, Martinelli, and through the middle, Eddie Nketiah, Turkish, right? And on the bench is Raya, Tomiyasu, Kivior, Jorginho, Emil Smith-Rowe, Reece Nelson, Fabio Vieira, Trossard and Jesus. Strong bench.
Very
so Partey is out. Yeah, Partey is out of the completely out of it. But that is back to our normal formation. Bar Partey.
Yeah.
So happy with that, guys. Would he have done that without that injury? So the injury could be a blessing in disguise. Then
I reckon he would have done that without it, even because Zinchenko's back. Like what you're saying.
Correct.
So you think Partey would have been left out?
No, I think maybe Partey would have started and it might have been, I reckon he would have left Havertz out.
I reckon he'd have left Partey out.
I don't think he would have left Havertz out.
No.
But anyway, listen, I don't know about you guys, I'm happy with that team.
Yeah.
I'm glad that Eddie, I just listened to what Turkish is saying, right? Honestly, you know, he's been the best forward player so far this season for Arsenal.
I agree.
How can he not start, right? He scored the winning goal last year when we played Man United. I mean, the guy's just been selected for England.
So that mean nothing.
But now's
the time to say.
Who's our number one striker?
No, but what I'm saying, now's the time when the confidence is flying high with that guy to say, go start and get me some goals.
I agree, but
Jesus is coming back from injury as well. Remember, he's coming back. We didn't even expect to see him this early, right? You got another striker that's on fire at the moment. Why rush Jesus back?
Now that
and you got. Sorry to interrupt, my man. What Robbie says is true. I'm agreeing with you a bit too much of that. But you got to take into account as well the intensity of today's game. And I think a game of this intensity, Eddie suits it more than Trossard for me. So
I think if your number one striker is fit, though, I think if your number one striker is fully fit, when Man United come to town, you pick your number one striker, and that number one striker is Gabby Jesus. All this says to me is he's not convinced that Jesus is ready for an intense 90. Yeah. And Eddie's been looking great. So yeah, no problem with it. But I'm saying if Jesus is fully fit, Jesus starts this game.
You must think Eddie deserves it. Confirmation of the 11 there. By the way, if you want to let us know what your 11s would be, If you want to let us know what your 11s would be as well during the week, of course, we do the Predicted 11 show and everything. If you download the AFTV Plus app, you can build your 11s on the 11 selector, and that is also your way to join us on FANZONE at full time to have your say. Lee Judges has his hands up. What do you want?
Oh, well, Robbie just turned around and said that Eddie's been on fire.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So why was he left out of the Fulham game then?
He shouldn't have been. And if you remember rightly, before that,
us fans ain't got opinion.
Before that, I was well. Of course, we can have opinions, right? But I was baffled by that because I was like, he played well in that game against Palace.
I think he should.
He did. I guess he just missed a couple of chances, but right, it was him who won the penalty that won us the game. You guys been playing well.
You did bring him on at half time. So
Yeah,
first check. So that was almost Arteta going.
And then he came on and he was excellent.
I think Eddie should start at this moment in time, but I am agreeing with if Jesus is your number one.
I agree with that, and then as I said, Jesus still come up in like we didn't even expect to see.
We will see Gabriel today.
Yeah, we'll see Jesus.
We will see him.
If it ain't working, we'll get Jesus on, I'm sure.
I think what's also interesting is now we're going to see how Havertz does with Zinchenko behind him. We haven't seen that before. Remember, a lot of Xhaka's success last year was that threaded ball through the iron needle from Zinchenko, finding him in those spaces. Now, Arteta, I've talked a lot about what Arteta said this week. One thing he said in the press conference after Fulham was he's making the runs. The player's got to find him. You know, he should have had a couple goals already. And I can't really think of that many chances he's missed exactly. So I'm thinking, what's he talking about? I think what he's saying is, he is doing what I want him to do, and he's almost putting it on the players to say, this is the instruction, he's doing you bit, now you do yours. I don't know if I agree with that, but
it's taking a bit of pressure off of the player.
It might be that. It might be just relieving pressure and saying, no, it's on the rest of the team. But whatever he's doing, he's wrapping up in cotton wool in the media, Havertz, and saying, I'm standing by my guy. But you know what? He's trying to have his back, but let's see how he does.
He's doing what I would expect him to do, or what most managers would do. You brought him into the club for 65 million. He's made an indifferent start. The manager has to show him some love, has to show him some support. Otherwise, we're going to look at him and.
But what does Havertz have to show us?
Well, yeah, he's got to produce.
But now, what I mean, I'm not expecting him to get in there, get on the ball, play a load of 1-2s, through ball every 10 minutes, create 7 big chances. I'm not expecting that. I'm expecting really hard work, some conviction in your play. I'll give him, I think the work rate's been there. I think he has actually tried to get himself in games and tried to do the right thing. I don't question that, but we need to see some conviction. You're playing for Arsenal, you're wearing the red top, the white sleeves, go out there in front of the Emirates crowd.
Well, that is the bare minimum you would expect. But what I would say about Havertz
we'd rather you made mistakes trying to do the right thing than look so tentative. Show us something.
Yeah, you know what it is about Havertz? What I would say about Havertz is, if you look at Havertz, his body language, he has a slightly laconic, some might even say a kind of laissez-faire type of manner about him. I'm not saying that's his mentality, but that's how he looks. Everyone has a body language. And some people might pick up on that if he's not having a good game and say, look, he doesn't look like he's putting a shift in. So that also needs to be taken into account as well.
Big job for Gabriel today, who's got Zinchenko, who will just go where he wants in midfield. Havertz, who isn't exactly one to sit and cover much, although he might have to. Martinelli, who we know is going to want to get forward a lot. And Palace have just scored against Wolves. Good goal. You know, there's going to be a lot of work for Gabriel to do, which I think might be why he's come back into the team. But it's good to see that our defence is looking a little bit more like the defence we saw a lot last season. Let's go through Man United's 11. And this is why I can't stand Man United, apart from all the 101 reasons I can give you. They announced their 11 in numerical order. So I don't think Wan-Bissaka is playing up front, is basically what I'm trying to say. But let's try and break this down. Anana's in goal. It looks like Lindelof and Martinez are the centre-backs, with Wan-Bissaka right back and Dalot left back. I'd be interested if they'd swap that around for the Saka-Wan-Bissaka battle. But
I thought Reguilon might have played.
Yeah, no, they've got Dalot.
He's on the bench. The midfield, Eriksen, Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, and I really put it on the line when I was on a tactical view on United View. I said I'd be amazed if he goes with Eriksen because of how physically imposing we can be in midfield. But now it's not Partey there and whatever, I don't know. But he's gone with Eriksen.
Creativity that he brings.
He can find Rashford.
Yeah. If you're talking about going from one end of the pitch to the other, Eriksen can do that. And then you've got Rashford, I imagine on the left, Martial up top, and Anthony on the right. Their bench, Bayindir, the new goalkeepers come in. Evans, who signed a new 1-year deal after returning to the club. Maguire, Reguilon, Gore, who I believe is a youngster, Hannibal, Pellistri, Garnacho, and the new exciting Højlund. I knew you said Erling. Erling. What's his first name? Rasmus Højlund, yeah. So he's coming for a lot of money, number 11, and we'll be hoping to Well, you'll be hoping for a good debut. We won't be hoping for that. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, is that pretty much what we expected, everyone?
Yeah, kind of.
I've got to say, that's virtually Arsenal's strongest side out there. You'd argue maybe like Jesus and Eddie, but
Fabio Vieira, unfortunate. What
a cameo that was the other day, like, you know. But I have to say that was outstanding. For 20 minutes of that game, I thought it was breathtaking what he done, and that just shows what a little bit of confidence does. He got the penalty and went on from there, like, you know. But listen, I'm pleased for him. He'll get his chances later on down the line. But I think if Havertz isn't doing the business today, then Vieira will come on in place of him.
It's a strong bench.
It's a very strong bench.
I think we've got a stronger bench than them.
I will say,
much better.
Oh, we do. We definitely have a stronger bench,
especially attacking.
Well, attacking, they've got Garnacho, who's very good off the bench, and Højlund's a sort of unknown entity. So
that's true.
They could be very good off the bench going forward.
Yeah.
But I think in midfield and their back four, off the bench, they haven't got much.
I do think that I still would have gone for Jorginho and then Rice as the box-to-box and not played Havertz. Just for that.
Cover Gabriel a
little bit of security in that midfield.
We're at home, man.
Yeah.
We're at home.
But
if we were at Old Trafford, I get it, but we're at home.
Wouldn't Jorginho still thrive in that? Get him on the ball, play, Rice getting forward, crashing the back post, I don't know. But anyway, everyone, you've sent in your thoughts. With a super chat from Rizvan says, Eddie scored 2 goals in this fixture last season, called up to England and almost scored the winner last week. Eddie's on fire. Why would he not start? All right, everyone, that's the starting 11. Let's just remind you of it now. We'll get it up on screen as well. Aaron Ramsdale keeps his place in goal. Ben White is at right back with Saliba. Gabriel returns to the 11 and Zinchenko at left back. In midfield, Martin Odegaard, Declan Rice and Kai Havertz keeps his place in the team despite coming off against Fulham, and a lot of words of support from Mikel Arteta. Let's hope we get a big performance from him. Saka on the right, Marte on the left and Eddie Nketiah up front. And if I can just see that, we've got Raya on the bench, Tomiyasu, Kivior, Jorginho, Smith Rowe, Nelson, Vieira, Trossard and Jesus on the bench as well.
Get a pair of your glasses. Brilliant.
Oh, they're fantastic. The secret is I don't need them. Onana in goal, Lindelof, Martinez at the back with Dalot and Wan-Bissaka as the fullbacks, Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, Eriksen with Rashford, Martial and Anthony in the front three. And we mentioned the likes of Garnacho and new signing Højlund for the first time in the matchday squad for Man United. Quickly, shout out your score predictions. What'd you go with on Forever Arsenal, and are you changing it?
I went for 2-0 and I'm going to stick with it.
I went for 3-1. I'm going for 3-1.
I went 4-2. I'm going to stick with that.
2-1 Arsenal.
Same. I'm going 2-1 Arsenal. Eddie to get one. Who else? Odegaard.
Do you know, I will say this, if Arsenal click today, I think they could get a big score.
United fans have been saying the same. Speak to United fans, they go, if you lot click today and you go back to the formation and we don't turn up, this could be bad.
What happens if United click?
Yeah.
Anthony says, fans need to calm down. Everyone was complaining about our play and the team was predictable last season, and now that we showed difference, everyone complains. Yeah, but I don't think it's as black and white as that. I think there is a middle ground, but look, we will obviously analyse it, breaking down and give all our thoughts after the game. That's because we will be having the fan cams from outside the ground and here in the studio. Lee's saying he's getting nervous. I understand that. He'll be off to the game with Robbie as well. We'll be here in the studio, me, Laurie, Sharoy, Turkish joining us, Cecil joining us as well, and a massive guest appearance from M. Huncho himself. I saw people in the comments going, M. Huncho? Yes, that's right, he is here. We will talk about all things Arsenal and react to every minute by minute moment as it happens. Download the AFTV Plus app, because that's your chance to get on full time after the game and give your thoughts. Win, lose or draw, we will be there to react to everything that's happened as well. All right, we're back in about... Let's catch you in a bit.